Alright, hello everybody, welcome once again to Omens, our first official episode. I'm actually going to go back and rename the first episode, episode 0, the introductory episode. So, little something I forgot to mention in the introductory episode that I didn't forget, I actually hadn't thought about it until uh, this past week when I was listening to another tarot podcast, or one of the tarot podcasts I listened to. This is not going to be any type of introductory tarot 101 type deal. If you're watching this, I'm not going to be going. I'm assuming that you understand what a tarot deck is, difference between tarot and oracle deck, the basic structure of a tarot deck, the suits, the minors and majors, the court cards, the pips, all that. The closest thing I'm going to get to 101 is throwing in the traditional meaning of each card, just kind of as a refresher for all of us. But for the most part, this isn't 101, and I'm assuming you're at least semi-perfect. You at least have a pretty good understanding of tarot if you're watching this. So, anyway, that's not the way. Oh, hey, I'm Ryan, by the way, if you didn't know. So today, as our very first episode in this whole series, kind of fittingly, we're going to be talking about the Ace of Wands. So, oh, um, side note before I forget, between this episode and the last one, I actually picked up a couple of new tarot decks. They never stop. So I'm not going to be using this one today, but I have a Mermaid Tarot. It's actually, man, my camera is really blurry today. I don't know why. I'll have to work on that, but it's really pretty. I haven't really used it yet. But yeah, I'm not going to use it today, but there's that one. And then this other one I picked up, it calls itself a tarot deck, and I am actually going to be using this because it gives me a good introduction on the Kabbalah, most specifically the angels of the Kabbalah. It's called the Angel Tarot. And you cannot see that back. Oh, well, that's what Google's for. The creator calls it a tarot deck, but he also has, he's a bit strange. He doesn't like the Rider-Waite-Smith structure, so he tries to do a whole new thing, but just the way this thing is structured, it's more like an oracle deck than an actual tarot deck. So I am going to be using it for this series because it's got some good information. Yeah. Alright, so Ace of Wands. So, I have quite a few of my cards out today that we're going to be seeing. So, your basic traditional meaning of the Ace of Wands, and I don't have the Rider-Waite-Smith, but I do have my Gilded Tarot, which is pretty similar. So your basic meaning of the Ace of Wands is power. More specifically, it's fire, the creative energy that suddenly whoosh. It's when it comes up in a reading, it usually means the universe is handing you some power to get started on something. It's giving you that fiery push. Wands are traditionally associated with fire, though in some traditions, a couple of Wiccan ones, they are associated with air as well. I don't ascribe to that, so I'm not going to really be talking about that too much. But yeah, basically in some traditions, wands and swords are switched on their elements. But for me, wands are fire, swords are air. That's how it is. So yeah, when an Ace of Wands shows up, as you can see, hopefully, your basic structure is a single wand. In this one, it is lit on fire, so it's talking about it's representing the pure force of fire. It's pure driving force, and these hands disembodied hands are kind of handing it out into the universe. They're just handing it to you, to the querent, to the universe, whatever. Um, it's basically, like I said, the traditional meaning is um, being given fire. When it comes up in reverse, there's a couple of different ways it could be taken. Could mean that that power you've been handed, you don't have the focus to direct it towards what you want. Like, for example, well, let's just take what is it? When the Forest Service, when they create controlled burns, that's what they are. When they do controlled burns to kind of make a fire break. So the Ace of Wands is like a controlled burn. The universe is giving you that fire to push it along. And when it comes up in reverse, that controlled burn is no longer in control and it just starts its own forest fire. So that's one of the meanings that could have in reverse. Another possible meaning is that no energy given. It's like, yeah, you want to start something, but now's not a good time, so we're not going to give you any. It's universe, God, your spirits or guides or whatever are just going, no, you need to wait. So we're not giving you anything. You need to wait. So that's your traditional type meaning. Your next. I don't want to have that. No, sorry. Thoughts in order. First time doing this, forgive me. Hopefully I'll get a bit better of a flow later on. So anyway, so that's your traditional meaning. So let's break it down. No, not with the music, though I'm sure my birds will be happy to provide. So breaking it down, the different parts of the card. So first off, it's a 1. It's a 1 card. It's the singular at the beginning, the absolute, the singular point. So 1, the numerological, and I should probably tell you where I'm getting all my sources. That was a lot of ums in a row. Where I took the traditional meaning from was Kitchen Table Tarot. It's pretty good. I actually have not read it all the way through, or much at all. I read the first few pages, but I like her style, so that's why I bought the book. For the numerology, it's Pythagorean numerology, first and foremost. I'm going off of the Complete Book of Numerology by David A. Phillips, PhD. Complete Book of Numerology, Discovering the Inner Self. It's a pretty good numerology book. I probably need to get others. So anyway, so the meaning of the number 1 is it is the first physical number. It represents the absolute divine expression. It's a key to verbal self-expression, the expression of the ego as a microcosm of the divine, the macrocosm. Key to communication skills, mathematical point, beginning, unity, seed of potential, etc. There's somewhere else I got some of this from, but I can't remember now right off the top of my head. It's one of these books I have. Oh, it's the little book I'm going to use for astrology up here. I remember where it was. Always have your bibliography. Anyway, so yeah, the number 1 is your first. It's described as the first physical number. So each number has a different tier. Your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 1, 4, and 7 are all your physical numbers. Is that right? I believe so. Yeah. This is validity. Yes. So your 1, 4, and 7 are your physical numbers. So your 1 is your first physical number. It's your basic number. It's also the only absolute number. So it is literally a fullness unto itself. There is no division, there's no duality, there's no fractals. It is pure absolute. It is complete. If we're talking math, everybody remembers the basic concepts of math, and if you don't, I'll refresh your memory. So it's one-dimensional is a singular point. A singular point. It's a mathematical point. There's literally no way to physically represent it. The closest we can get is if you take a pencil and you draw and you just on a piece of paper, that's a point, but technically it's not a one-dimensional point like the actual mathematical one-dimensional point, because it's still technically three-dimensional because it's lead on paper. So a singular mathematical point that's all it is. It's all by itself. Some people see the divine as this as well, as in pantheism, everything is God. In a lot of other traditions, it's everything is God. We're all part of God or divine or whatever you want to call it, as Brahma. Is it Brahma? I can't remember. It's one of the Hindu deities. Brahma might have been one of them. No, Brahma. Okay. Sorry, side tangent. I almost started to go off on. But yeah, it's the absolute. It's the Sephiroth, I believe. I'm starting to move into a Kabbalah here. Where's my Kabbalah? Oh, down there. The Kether, the crown. So in the Jewish mystical tradition of Kabbalah, which I am not at all an expert in, I'm barely versed in, so I'm only going to talk about what I do know, what I have found. My plan is through this to become more well versed in it, but right now I just grab keywords and research what little I have. I really need more. So if you've ever seen the Kabbalistic tree of life, you start with a singular point at the top that branches off into three paths down that also reconnect down at the bottom into another point. So the very bottom is complete physical manifestation. This, I believe, or is it three? It does three branches down and then I think 3 dots down. I'd have to look at it again. I'm so prepared for this, can you tell? But anyway, so that very top point is complete spirit divine. It's known as the Kether, the crown. All the aces are represented by the Kether. And I really hope I'm saying that correctly. It's the aether, the realm of spirit. So when we talk about the 5 elements, 5 Western elements, we have earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. So spirit is the aether, so the Ace of Wands could be considered the aether. It's represented by the aether, which is that point on the Kabbalistic tree. It is pure potential. It is a state of pure potential. It contains the promise of continuation and fruit. It is the Big Bang right before the Big Bang type deal. This is what the Ace of Wands is. So that was our Kabbalah. I'm out of order already. So, moving on to the next step, since we're talking about Kabbalah, we'll talk about the Kabbalistic angel, the ruler of the Ace of Wands, and wow, I need a new camera. So, I'll describe this. This is from the the Angel Tarot. The Celestial Tarot is, for funnily enough, astrology. So the Angel Tarot, which I was actually kind of glad I picked this up between the last episode and now, because I had not known that there are 72 Kabbalistic angels. So there's an angel for, basically what this Angel Tarot did, by Travis McHenry. He took the 72 Kabbalistic angels, And the basic understanding behind that is there are so many angels that each rule. They're kind of your guardian angels. They each rule an hour, a set of hours, a set of days, and a. I forget what the third one is. I'll look it up in the set. Well, I can always look it up now. Yeah, a set of time. A set of time. A block of days, and then specific days. So soul guardian, moral guardian, or physical guardian, basically. So my L is 30. So the Kabbalah angel for the Ace of Wands is Omael, the patient god. They are one of the dominions. So in angel hierarchies, dominions are what are dominions? They are of 8, 9. So they're of the second hierarchy, I believe is what it is. That is contained in the dominions, the virtues, and the powers. The second hierarchy. The first one is the seraphim, cherubim, and thrones. And the third one is the principalities, archangels, and angels. So the dominions appear as humans of perfect beauty with wings and are responsible for regulating the duties of the lower ranks of angels. So Omael is, like I said, they protect against sorrow and despair, bring patience, rule over the animal kingdom, and watches over the generations of beings and influences chemists, doctors, and surgeons, office, and abilities. Protects against despair, helps one be patient. I think I might have written something twice. Yeah. So basically, it's in the name, patient god. Omael is the soul guardian for those born from 9:40 a.m. to 10 a.m., the moral guardian for those born on 18 April, 29 June, 9th of September, 20th of November, 31st of January, and the physical guardian for those born from 12 to 16 of August. So McHenry doesn't really go into explaining exactly what those all mean. I'm looking that up. But basically, Omael is a generational angel. Influences chemists, doctors, surgeons. So it sounds like a lot of STEM type category. It's very interesting to go with the Ace of Wands. Oh, and that's the other part I forgot. Oops. It is, what is it called? Their astrological meaning of the card, an angel. So the combination for this one is fertility and multiplicity, which makes sense because we know our Ace of Wands it's that seed, it's that power, potential. In the Tarot of the Old Path, the Ace of Rods. Can we focus? Not really, but hopefully you get kind of an idea. Basically, you have this rod, and there are green plants growing over. We've got Stonehenge in the background on a hill. There's green, but basically it's everything we've been talking about. It's the seed potential. It's that starting. It's the fertility and multiplicity. It's like I just said earlier. It's the Big Bang right before the Big Bang, right before the actual bang. It's that sitting. It's potential. It's singularity, completeness. Sorry, I got an itch. It's all this just power, just sitting there. It's just pure potential and power. So that's our Kabbalah angel and our Kabbalah. So next we're getting into the astrology of it. So the astrological, I don't know if you can see here. Yeah, you can't see anything. I'm gonna have to see about a lens for my camera or something. Um, the constellation, that's the word I was looking for. The constellation for the Ace of Wands is Cassiopeia. So Cassiopeia was the Greek queen who was very blessed. She was blessed by the gods with multiple daughters, and she was a very strong-willed woman, strong-willed and prideful. We know how pride works in Greek mythology. It does not go well. So, her pride was she boasted that her daughters were more beautiful than even um, were more beautiful than the wife of Poseidon and the wife and daughters of Poseidon. The I forget their names right off the top of my head. I know his daughters were the Nereids. Actually, I think he had a lot of daughters, but basically, she boasted her daughters were much more beautiful. So her punishment was Poseidon. Well, that obviously enraged them. I mean, let's be honest. It's going to. And her punishment was Poseidon sent a sea monster to haunt their shores, basically, and slowly, one by one, her daughters kept getting eaten until they found out by an oracle that the only way to get rid of it was to sacrifice her most beautiful daughter. I completely forgot, blanked on her name. But basically, sent her daughter. This is her. If you've heard the story of Perseus, um, he rescues Cassiopeia's daughter from kills the sea monster and all that. It's the maiden who is chained to the rocks, and yeah, Perseus came by on his winged sandals, saw this, and was like, "Oh heck no!" and just freed her, killed the monster, and then I don't know if he married her or not. Something probably happened. It's Greek mythology. There's a pretty general theme to all their myths. But anyway, so the nice thing I like about the Celestial Tarot is it will also show you a lot of the astrological correspondences. So it's not in focus, so you can't see. Haha. So the correspondences for this one are Aries and Mars. So Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is at home in Aries and whatnot. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, the Western zodiac. It's spring. Basically, that's our spring season. That's around, yeah, Ostara is in Aries season. So that plays into all of this. This is, you see a running theme here going on. So this is a pretty good way to interpret stuff. So Aries, like I said, the beginning of the season, Aries, people with the sun sign of Aries are known to be go-getters, hard-headed, not quite hard-headed, but not quite as stubborn as Taurus. They're the ram for a reason. The rams in spring, they're out there. They're going. They're just going, fighting over everything. Their power, potential, growth, fertility. They're the Aries are the ones who must be first in everything. They just go, go, go. Mars, or his Greek counterpart, Aries. Just slightly different spelling. There's no I in his name. The god of war. Yeah, for the Greeks, because he was a bit more. He was very much the aggressive side of war. They didn't like him quite so much. That's why they preferred Athena. But for the Romans, Mars was a bit more. He took on a few of Athena's more responsible traits type deal. The Romans liked him better than they did. Than the Greeks liked Ares. God of War, aggressive, going forward, just all that go-getter energy, all that fire and passion, and just where's that word I'm looking for? Ran away on me. But I'll think of it later. But all that passion, rage, adventurousness, that's the sign of Aries, the planet Mars. Come on. So, mm, yeah, okay. So a little bit more I wrote down here about that I got from the Celestial Tarot's Little White Book. I don't care what they say, I like the Little White Books, they're fun. And they give you a little bit, especially when it comes to ones that are specialty like this. Honestly, read the Little White Book, irritating as they are. Because excuse me, it does give you some information, like, especially about the mythos behind the constellations. So, like, Cassiopeia has... So their meaning for the Ace of Wands is that it augurs a new journey into a higher realm of imagination and creativity. So, similar thing. It's literally you suddenly get that fire flight, all that Aries and Mars, passion and fiery energy, and you're like, I want to do this, so you go to it. Thing with this one, the reason they put Cassiopeia on this one is because it's a bit of a warning for the shadow side of Aries. Or, sorry, the shadow side of the Ace of Wands. Her arrogance. Basically, it's a warning against her shadow side. Because you have all that power, all that go-getting. It's like, yes, that's good if you've got it focused, you've got a direction, and you're taking into account the things around you. However, when it's just, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do it my way, and heck with all y'all, that can cause problems if you're stepping on toes, you're bulldozing people over. The ram shadow side has a tendency to just ignore everything around it and just go for it and leave a path of destruction in their wake. That's what Cassiopeia did. Is she was prideful. She just boasted and boasted and boasted, and she did not even think to take into account that she was talking about immortals who tended to give them a lot of gifts and whatnot. She just kept growing and growing and growing with her boasts, and she didn't stop and think, my daughters have all this beauty, maybe I should thank the gods for it instead of sitting there saying it's all my own genetics or whatever, even though probably was genetics, I don't know. Depends on your point of view. In my case, I'm polytheist, so I see that as a bit, not so much a sacrilege, but, they've been around, they've been helping and guiding humans for ages. It's like, why would you sit there and say you're better than them, even though you're literally only here for this short space of time, and they've probably pushed and pulled and held. So it's like, why would you sit there and say you're better than them when you're nowhere near those? I mean, now granted, with Greek gods tended to be a bit more human-like than most. But yeah. So, now the actual, I'm going to bring my vice versa tarot for this. The actual use of the wands in Wicca, Hermetic philosophy, and a lot of witchcraft is the wands are carefully used consideration and application of will and intention. They're used to direct energy and ceremony. When you cast a circle, you use a wand. Some people will use a sword, but most people don't tend to prefer the sword or the athame, because it's a blade, so it's used to cut. A wand is a singular solid piece of wood It's a rod that you can use to direct energy. So that's what wands are for. So again, with the Ace of Wands, it's all that power and potential right here, right at the beginning. So a little bit more into the astrology, the elemental astrology, I suppose. Wands are fire. The Ace represents pure fire, like we've been going over and talking about. It's pure fire energy. It's energy, the drive, the desire, enlightenment, burning passion, primal drives, most fervent desires. It can be used constructively or destructively. It also is, its season is summer. So that's a little bit more on the astrology. Just going off that, I have my vice versa tarot here. So this is this side, as they call it, basically your front side that most people see. So you have a person holding a wand, there's an eagle, and there's the sun, kind of low on the horizon. Just judging from the colors, it's most likely supposed to represent sunrise. Just going based off the colors, but you'll never know. It's up to you. Basically, when it comes up, it's that power being handed to you. It's that power being given. The eagle represents. Actually, that's a hawk. I am not a birding person, so all I know is it is a predator bird. So it's either hawk, falcon, or an eagle, and it's red. So that's why I'm thinking hawk, but I don't know. So the eagle, basically, that is just. This image gives you kind of a feel for bright creativity. Came up. It's like you've got that prettiness, it's just light in what it is, and hawk, falcon, or whatever. They tend to represent a singular, direct focus because they are known for their sharp eyesight. They lock onto their prey and they dive for it, and they hit it. Here, that's this drive. Now, that side, as they call it, so blurry. I don't like this. I have to fix that. Basically, it's that same one. So with the vice versa, it's just a different point of view. So from this point of view, we're seeing the person holding the wand, but that forest isn't quite so misty, and that's another reason why I'm pretty sure it's early morning sunrise, is because it's kind of misty over the trees and whatnot. And this is more of a valley. It's like someone standing on the edge of a hill and looking over a valley, and just like their wand up. It's like they've got that power and potential. So this side is we're looking behind. We've turned around to look at the trees right behind us. So this power is a lot closer. However, we've also got a lightning strike striking one tree on fire. So this is that destructive side of that energy. Or you could say it's the destructive side of the energy because you've got lightning directed and it's lighting a tree on fire, which is probably going to start a forest fire. But you can also say it's that energy directed and released, because energy is neither good nor bad. It's literally just how we use it. So this is that energy building up. This is that energy directed and released. Now, of course, if these come up in reverse, that's probably a backfire. Your spells backfire type deal. Your direction, all that backfire. This would be. I'd almost rate it kind of more closer to a sunset. It's like you're not actually pulling that energy up. It's just not there. So pretty much most of the other stuff. So a little bit of the alchemy of the Ace of Wands, since it's pretty much fire, so it's going to be about the same. So the alchemy, fire is the most subtle of all the energies, closest to the original state of non-existence, the first world. What is that? I forget what I wrote down. Lively, undefined, and almost uncontrollable. Um, so yeah, and in alchemy, fire is the closest to the pure state of being. The levels of alchemy are slightly different. The alchemical elements are slightly different than, like, say, Wicca or witchcraft. Earth is the most base, the most unrefined, and then you work your way up into water, which is you're taking that earth and and making it soluble, and it's movable, so it's a little bit more pure. You're purifying it a bit more, but it's still heavy and physical. And the next state of being, once that water evaporates, is the air, the gas. That's a lot more pure and whatnot. You're taking that under all the impurities and refining it into air. And you wouldn't think that. You'd think fire and air would be switched. But however, for in alchemy, it goes up to air, and then fire is your most pure substance. It's the closest thing to pure spirituality, pure spirit, basically. So that's your alchemy. A little bit of the mythos. We're coming kind of near the end. So I just have the mythos for it. I actually have my Spirit of Halloween tarot. Um, wow, you can't see that at all. um, so the Ace of Wands is the salamander. Um, so the mythology of the salamander and the reason why it's associated with the element of fire, even though actual salamanders pretty much live in water and earth, they're amphibians, is because, that's exactly why. They live in logs. They would burrow into wooden logs, and they'd hide there, and they'd be chopped up, and because it's wet and it's warm, and people would throw those logs on the fire, and they start the fire, and then all of a sudden all these salamanders are scattering everywhere. So they basically assume that salamanders were born from fire, so that's how they became associated with the element of fire and became one of the creatures of fire. So there's that one. Some other mythos for it that actually I think corresponds a little bit better to the Ace of Wands, because it's that first spark of fire, that first pure potential, all that just getting ready would be your fire bringers. So a lot of cultures have mythology that speaks to um, the fire bringers. So in Greek mythology, we have Prometheus. Stole fire from the gods and brought it down to the humans because they were shivering and cold, and the gods were all just sitting there laughing at them like they can't even figure out fire. What the heck? So Prometheus brought that down, and for that he was punished to have his liver eaten by an eagle every day for eternity. But one of the heroes, freed him later on and whatnot. He was actually also in an episode of Supernatural. If he died. Spoiler alert. Oops. But so Prometheus is one. Another one is Lucifer, and this is a slightly more modern mythos. There are the Luciferians. Luciferians, yes, of Luciferianism. They tend to work. They call it the left-hand path. It's more an alchemy-based type tradition, but basically their mythos is Lucifer is pretty much a similar thing. It's like God put Adam and Eve in a garden and then told them they can eat from anywhere except for the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And this one always threw me off as a kid too. It's like, why wouldn't you eat the fruit? You want to know things. So basically, Lucifer didn't agree with God, or Jehovah, Yahweh, um, keeping them all enslaved. He's like, you talk about free will, and you put them in the garden, and you say they've got free will, but don't touch this tree, and you're not actually going to teach them anything. So Lucifer transformed himself into a snake to tempt Eve, or if you want to go with Lilith was the snake, then he and Lilith, I don't even know. There's so much mythology with it. But basically the gist of it is Lucifer brought light, and his name, Lucifer means light bringer. He brought light to humankind. He brought knowledge. I mean, it was a sin against God, and for that he was punished and fell down to earth, but at the same time, it's like, I'd say it's pretty cool. I'd rather know things than not. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I have. Talked about the number one, the wands, the astrology, elements, the Kabbalah, and the angel. A little bit about the alchemy on it. And I'll probably expand on all of these as I keep going down, because we're going to go through all the wands first, so I'm sure I'll find new stuff to talk about with fire. I am a bit of a pyromaniac. Well, not really, but, you know, I like my fire. So I'm sure I'll find all kinds of new stuff to talk about with this. But I think that is... Oh, that's why I had this card. Okay, so one last one. The Archeon Tarot, Ace of Wands. That was my dog, if you heard that. He's asleep. This one looks like just kind of a regular Ace of Wands. However, the way they have it, first off, their wands are gold staves with a slightly whiter top. Some of the background on this one, not sure what that chopped up paper is. I think that might be something to do with the Vedas. But they have an Egyptian king and his queen, so you could, and this honestly looks kind of like a ruling stave, a ruler staff. So you could see it as this as a sign of rulership. And then the main reason I brought it up is because it's also got the full moon in the background. And you might have seen in this one, it kind of looks like the moon probably, but it's actually Jupiter. So the mythology of the moon, or not the mythology, the associations of the full moon is basically with the moon phases, you start with the new moon, which is everything quiet and seated down, and you'd almost think of that with the Ace of Wands, because it's that silent just beginning into the waxing through the maiden phase of the moon. So you'd think maybe it would be the new moon where it's that seed, but they have it as actually as the full moon, which I think kind of sits a little bit better because it's all that potential right there. It's fire. It's that sunrise, lightning strikes. This is and this. And we actually have two sunrises in the Tarot of the Old Path too. So yeah, so it's that beginning, that newness. So it's that we talk about when it comes to the full moon. There's all that energy, like everything gets blown up on the full moon. Like everything is even more than it usually is. And then of course Jupiter is the planet of abundance, of luck, of just all kinds of good things, just all together. So yeah, it's our Ace of Wands is our fire, our fertility and multiplicity, our just that divine expression. It's all that pure potential, just waiting to expand and explode. So yeah, and there's probably more. You could probably see a little bit more. You could probably come up with some of your own little own associations and whatnot with this. But yeah, I think that's what I have for you today. So yeah. So we've got the Ace of Wands done. Next week, next Sunday, I will be going over an herb, a stone, and a Elder Futhark rune. I'm pretty set on the stone and the rune. I'm a little iffy on the herb I have right now. I might change it, but we'll see. I'll be sticking with kind of fire-based stuff for the middle of each of these months as we're going through the wands, kind of stick with that association. And then the week after that will be first of the major arcana. I'm thinking I'll probably go ahead and do the full. I actually was for a little bit considering going backwards, but I might sit on that. I might save that. I might sit on that. Maybe I'll start from the full to the world right now, and then we'll see what happens afterwards. Like I said in the introduction, this is kind of a little bit still up in the air. Not set 100% on everything, but we'll see. So, yeah, we have Ace of Wands Sunday. So thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, send me questions. Find me on Facebook, Bags and Omens. The ands and ampersand, like in this YouTube channel name. You can email me at bagsandomens@gmail.com. It's and as in the full word, not an ampersand, because Gmail won't let me do that. Anything else? Yeah. Go ahead, comment down below if you want to email me any questions. If you got any questions you want to put in the comments, or email me. Find me on Facebook. I am taking a little bit of a break from sewing for right now. I'm going to finish up a couple commissions I still got, and then I'm going to take a slight break because my day job's been taking up a lot of energy, so I haven't got much space for much else. So, but yeah, find me on Facebook. Also, Intuitive Tarot Read on Facebook. It's a friend of mine's business technically, but I do the daily card draws 5 days for the weekdays there. So if you want to see some of my interpretations, go ahead, look me up on there. If you want to set up a reading with me, I read in person at Strega in Sierra Vista on Sundays, 11 to 5. Message me or at Bags and Omens on Facebook, or email me bagsandomens@gmail. I'd be willing to set up online readings, or if you want to send in a question, or whether you want to do a live reading, or if you want to just kind of send me a question and then I'll send you an interpretation, pay me for that, instead of a live reading or anything. Yeah, I think that's everything. I'm working to do more in the way of reads right now and focusing on this right now, so I'm not really, like I said, I'm not really sewing bags right now, but hopefully in a couple of months I'll start back up more on that as soon as I finish these and take a short break, but I will let y'all know. So yeah, been a pleasure talking to y'all. I suppose I'll see you next week. Enjoy your week. Bye.